Good afternoon, all. CamelbackTrading.org coming to you this Friday afternoon, August 20th, and we are looking at Window Traders market profile of SPY, IWM, and Triple Qs. Pretty nice finish for the bulls as they avoid a lot of things. They avoid even coming close to testing the 4-week balance low. They close above the 20-day moving average. They do not have an outside week down. At one point, we were closer to an outside week up. But we end up inside of last week's range. It's an $11 balance for the 4 weeks. We're in balance on the daily for 3 days. So much slower day today, volume 66 million. So we might not even do average or maybe average with the after hours. But overall, we can't complain. Pretty good week with volume volatility. Down on the week, small SPY. Triple Qs, all three of us came back into balance on the daily. So that's a win for the bulls late in the week, right? Bears had a chance to come out and finish this week strong, and they didn't do it. Triple Qs and 10 wide. We're going to go over all three of these charts when we're done with the profile. 10 wide, afternoon pullback in I, and they go out with a very small price probe. Russell, and so the trend day up. 2 sets of single prints. D and F. They end up only 7 wide. They don't probe, but they do end with a price with the trend day. So kudos to them after a rough week. And for us, boy, do we have a buy tail. Over $2 buy tail. I told the room today, this was my line in the sand. Once we took out yesterday's high, set off a stops there, and then once we got the price probe and the single print from the 18th, everybody was short, just ran for the hills and covered. And I said, that's my line in the sand. If we hold it, we should stay in the upper distribution. If we don't, we'll come back. Well, guess what? B tried to get below it. Never did. We spent the entire day in the upper distribution from the 18th. We only end 8 wide. K's pullback, and we go out with a price probe. I had a good day, although didn't get the long I wanted to either time in D and E or J and K. We'll go over that now. So early in the morning, when A period ripped above J's low, I said, well, this is a really nice stop run. I said, I think that's at least initially what we're getting. We ended up with a P shape for short covering today. So when they took out yesterday's high and got the price probe in the singles, I took a put play against a visual level. I took the 444 puts, and it backed off where I had a nice trade on it. In B period, I thought we would have a lowest accepted price, and we did. In fact, we actually had a lowest accepted price today where we opened. We didn't get below it by much. Now, we did keep coming back towards it, but we never took it out, so I'll use that as a lowest accepted price. I took a long against it, the 441 calls, and that worked out as we went higher in B. Took a long in C against right when the single prints filled. We were still one time framing up, took a nice long in C, and rode that back up. Those were the 441 calls also. Now, when D stopped the one time framing up, I told the room what I'd love to see. Now obviously half back wasn't here, but I would love to see us test, even if it got below B's low, I don't care, just to see if we shake out some weak longs. But I also told the room a lot of times when you stop the one time framing up that early, they don't do much, and they didn't. They didn't in D, they didn't in E. So I never took the long because at that time it was right near POC. So I sat there and I didn't do much of anything. I did take a short in G. I said there's no tempo. I don't think we'll hold singles just the way we didn't hold them in B. And I was right on the 445 puts as H came in and then I came in. Now I'm looking for the afternoon pullback. When it got to I, it was going to be the POC. I'm not crazy about that, but I did take a 20 lot. And it went back up. It didn't even pull back. So I went back up and I made money on the 442 calls. Now I didn't turn out to be the afternoon pullback. K did. So now when J went down and then when K went down, I'm like, well, if they're still pushing, maybe I'll wait and see if we get a good flush right around, because we raise POC now, right around to value low and take a size call play, maybe 100, 150. Never got there. Now, I could have taken a 20 lot, at least in J and K again, like I did in I. I didn't do it. I was waiting for the bigger flush to take the size, and it went away without me. And that's it. I didn't do any other trades. So the only trade I really would have liked to have had is for a bigger push down to alleviate some of these longs in J and K, but it never happened. All right, destinations for Monday. 443.71, first upside destination. Then we have 444, and that's today's high. 444.63, daily high from the 18th. 444.96, daily high from the 17th. 447.11, weekly high, all-time high, and 447.31 our pre-market all-time high. So that's the upside. For the downside, we have the price probe. Even though we closed below it, we don't know if it's accepted or rejected until Monday. 443.55. That's G's high. Then we have 442.46, our afternoon pullback low from K. Then I'm using D's low as the lowest accepted price of 441.74. Then we have today's low of 439.71. So that's almost a 200, just under $200 buy tail. That's pretty nice, a $200 buy tail, 200 cents. Then we have the afternoon pullback low from the 19th, 437.46. And then the weekly low now, 436.12. So don't forget, we have three lows. 436.12, weekly low. 436.10, weekly low. 435.99, weekly low. At some point, those will become targets. The question is, do we rotate back to the top of the balance and test the all-time high prior to going down there? And then, let's go to all our charts now. Just give me 1 second, and we'll start going on all the charts. Here we go. So let's start top down with the Russell. Russell, as we all know, is having issues. They're in a 5-month balance. They held last month's low of 209.05. We got within $1.60 of it this week, and then we rallied pretty good up to the 215 level. So believe it or not, nothing's changed in the Russell, right? It's still March's high and March's low. March's high is the all-time high. March's low is the balance low of 207.21. Until we come out of that balance, nothing's changed. We almost got to the low of it last month. We almost got to the last month's low today, this month. So is that all we're trying to do? And we're not going to get to March's low? Well, we don't know yet. We still have 7 days or 8 days to go in the 7 days to go in the trading month. But it will be interesting if that's all they're doing to go back up, or are we going to finally test it and maybe get below it? Weekly, same thing. Weekly came out of an inside week to the downside. Now, again, the weekly had been one time framing up. It's subjective. If you want to call the weekly down, you can, especially since they're holding a gap. Or you can say the weekly came into balance, a 5-week balance. Right? Nobody's right, nobody's wrong. If I was trading this all the time and doing the homework on it, writing it down, I still think I would probably just call this, probably call it down because of the gap. If we take out this week's high, then we're firmly back in balance. If not, I would call it down. That's how I would do it. And then on the daily, we're back into balance. You can call it a 2-day balance, today's high, yesterday's low. You could call it a 4-day balance since we closed back inside of these days. And you could use Wednesday's high as the balance high and Thursday's low as the balance low. We have tested the 200-day moving average now 2 days in a row, but we closed above it. So that's the Russell. Balance monthly. I'm going to call the weekly down. Balance on the daily. Let's go to triple Qs. Triple Qs monthly is healthy. One time framing up. 3 months. Right? Still healthy. Weekly. Definitely balance. We came out of an inside week to the downside. We stopped the one time framing up. It is now balanced. A 4-week balance. We stretched the low of it by a little bit early this week. So this week's low is the bottom of the balance, and the all-time high is the top of the balance. So monthly up, weekly balance, daily balance. They came out of 3 days one time framing down, actually 4 days one time framing down. The daily has gone from down to balance. And they got above the 20-day moving average. So triple Qs, monthly up, weekly balance, daily balance. Now let's go to SPY and ES. SPY by far the healthiest, as we are just one time framing up 10 months with 7 days to go in the trading month. At some point, it would probably be healthy to come into some sort of balance on the longest time frame. Right now, it's just chugging along up. Weekly came into balance. We took out last week's high. We took out last week's low. We almost tested these 2 weekly lows. So it's a 4-week balance. What's this week is the high of it, and the week of July 26th is the low of it. It is an $11.12 range. That's your balance for 4 weeks. And then on the daily, balance. We were down. We just came back into balance. It's a 3-day balance. Now, the big question, somebody asked me in the room, and it's a good question. I said we've taken out the 20-day moving average. We've gone and tested the 50-day moving average in subsequent days every time. Okay? Now, this time we didn't, but this time I don't even think we got below the 20 on August 3rd. But we certainly did on Wednesday and yesterday. So, we got within $2 of it. That's not testing it. As you can see, we got below the 50 each time. Okay? Not this time yet. Doesn't mean you have to, right? But the fact that we held the balance low on the weekly and we closed where we did leads me to believe we may have a better chance of testing the top of the balance, which is the all-time high, before we go and test the 50-day moving average. All remains to be seen, right? We're still in balance. Hey, look, if we take out today's low on Monday, well, then that 50-day moving average becomes a pure target again. However, if we take out Monday's high, now we go from balance to up in the daily, then the odds of testing the top of the balance are a lot better before we test the 50-day moving average or those 3 weekly lows. Really good week in the trading room. It was a great teaching week with the volatility and the volume. Come check us out. $30 a month. Can't go wrong for that price. Thanks for the like. Subscribe to the channel. Come check us out at camelbacktrading.org. Enjoy your weekend, and we'll speak prior to the opening on Monday.